Hey everyone, Alex here with Rowan Health and Wellness. Today we're going to talk about what most of us spend about a third of our lives doing, and that is sleep and how it impacts our health and wellness. So first off, let's talk about what our body actually does when we're asleep at night. So while we're doing that, our bodies actually increase the blood supply to our muscles. Our tissue growth actually happens. A lot of healing and cell growth actually happens when we're asleep at night. Our energy is restored. So if you think about it, if you're really drained, if you have a really bad night's sleep, that's because your body didn't have a chance to actually restore those energy cells in our body. So hormones are released, such as growth hormones, which are essential for that development and muscle improvement. So recent findings actually suggest that sleep plays a big piece for our bodies to do some housekeeping and removing of toxins that are in our brain that build up while we're awake. So that's new evidence. Very interesting, actually. But that also would help to understand what it looks like a little bit more when we are a bit on the sleep deprived side, as well as boosting our immune system. Our body's actively fighting infections and all of those intruders while we're asleep. So when we don't have the opportunity to allow our bodies to do that, that's when you kind of go, oh man, I haven't slept well for the last few days. I think that's why, I feel this cold coming on, because your body hasn't had that opportunity to really fight. And when we look at that kind of happening for the long term with our lack of sleep, that's when our bodies really are taking that opportunity to fight off infections that are really impacting our health. What does sleep deprivation look like? For many of you, including myself, if you've ever had a really bad night's sleep or you've been really stressed and haven't been able to sleep well, you find that your cognitive functioning really isn't what you usually are. Your reaction times, this is kind of funny. You can see the people who are a little more injury prone. Some days they're dropping things. They're kind of like dazing into the abyss. And a lot of the time that's because their bodies haven't had that ability back to replenishing and clearing those toxins from our brain while we sleep. They have difficulty concentrating, have difficulty with memory and decision making. So those are the kind of days where the meetings just go on forever and you feel like it's just so hard deciding what to have for lunch. Poor mood, irritability, low energy, decreased libido, and poor judgment. Again, a lot of these are linked to your hormone health, which is a part of your sleep pattern, which then goes to our next point of our circadian rhythms. That natural rhythm that our bodies go through every day works on the expectation that we're going to be asleep for that process to go on for those 8 hours at least at night that our bodies need. So if we disrupt that, then we have trouble with different things, especially hormone-driven functions in our body. There's an increased risk for high blood pressure, heart attacks, and stroke long term. Again, if you're not getting that quality sleep on a regular basis, these processes do tend to start climbing in the background. Suppression of the immune response and a higher susceptibility of illness. So again, not having that quality of sleep, not being able to fight off some of those seasonal illnesses that come our way, or again, long term, looking at things that affect our immune system like cancers. Weight gain. So again, if you're not gonna, nothing else hits you, the fact that if your body can't rest and recoup, weight gain is more likely to happen. As well as an increased risk of diabetes, again, because of how your insulin, which is a hormone, functions on that circadian rhythm. And if you're not allowing it to follow its natural pattern because you're not giving it enough time to sleep and rest, then it's going to not function properly and put you at a higher risk for diabetes. What can you do? Little things that you can start doing right away to help improve your sleep. So we kind of refer to this as sleep hygiene. So looking at, first off, the actual room you sleep in. Hopefully for most of you, it's a bedroom. Some of you might be couches, but ideally a bedroom of sorts. What is the lighting like? Is there a bit of a mood? Do you come in and fluorescent lights are in your face? Or do you have that option either with a dimmer or like a small reading lamp or a salt lamp that kind of sets the tone? So there's enough light in the room that you can make your way to bed, but it's not hitting you hard and allows your body to start into that melatonin rhythm to be able to start to fall asleep properly. Even the slightest little bit of light in your room, so even the numbers from your clock, which I know some people find drive them nuts. We have a neighbor who has a sensor light in their backyard, and when it comes that time of the year where there's a lot of raccoons kind of nosing around for garbage and stuff, it's going off and on all night, and just that amount of light can be enough to actually wake you up out of that deep sleep. So if needed, getting the full out blackout shades in your room. If you're a shift worker, this is a must. If you live on a busy street somewhere in the city, this is also a must. Between cars, street lights, everything else that can come in and interrupt, you definitely want to have that blocking out of any extra light. Optimal sleeping. Believe it or not, the optimal temperature for your room to be at when you sleep is about 16 to 20 degrees Celsius. Your body temperature naturally dips a bit while you're sleeping, so naturally you don't want it to be fighting that dip by having your room too warm. So you really want to have it nice and low so your body can naturally dip into that a lot more easily. No business in the bedroom. And by business, I mean, if you're a teacher, nothing like marking. Don't bring your computers in for business purposes. Don't be reading over that report one more time. Don't be going over your notes before a presentation one more time. If you got to do that outside the bedroom, not inside. Bedrooms are only for sleep. Electronics. Try to either turn them off or keep them at least 5 feet away from where you're sleeping. Try to invest in some hypoallergenic bedding. So especially if someone has allergies or someone snores, try to have the best possible that you can afford. So while you're laying there and inhaling whatever's coming off these sheets all night long, you're doing the best that you can to not interrupt your sleep. And again, decluttering any messes. Do you have a bunch of Christmas gifts that haven't been wrapped? Or do you have all of that junk that you swear you'll take out one day, and just looking at it causes you that little bit of distress? You look at it every night before you go to bed. Try to get rid of that nice and clean in the bedroom. So speaking to the air quality again, especially if someone has allergies or they snore. Again, the snoring is an inflammation of the air passage in some people. So the less there is to trigger that, the less there is to snore, the less there is for someone to be snoring beside you and keeping you up at night and disturbing your sleep. Again, the pillows and the bedding. If you can't have as much control over the quality of what's coming in and out of your bedroom as far as airflow goes, look at a HEPA filter. If you think long term, it really is a worthy investment when you're looking at your ability for your body to heal every night. If you can, get your vents cleaned yearly. I have pets, so actually I should be doing it about 2 or 3 times a year, again, just because of all the dander that builds up and the fur that gets blown around. Try to keep any chemical fragrances out of the bedroom. So don't get me wrong, essential oils are amazing, a little bit of lavender on the pillow before you go to bed, smelling wonderful and relaxing, but keep the chemicals that could possibly interrupt with either, again, respiratory, or the wrong ones could possibly start to interfere with your hormones as well. So keep those out. You shouldn't have them anywhere in your house, but if you do, the bedroom at least is a sanctuary. Don't let them in. If your bedroom does smell a little on the musty side, get it tested for mold. Again, you're in there 8 hours a day breathing this air, so you definitely want to make sure that it's quality air. I know that seems like a lot. I know it does, but every little bit helps, especially if sleep is one of those areas in your life that you're having some trouble. Okay, winding down. So we've got our space that you're going to be sleeping in already. Now we need to get your headspace ready. So winding down. And these, again, guidelines, but they really do work, and they are rooted in literature and evidence. Turning all your screens off at least 1 hour before bed. So TVs, computers, phones. Really, you can find something else to do for an hour beforehand. Read a book, talk to your loved ones, get your day ready for the next day, do your food prep for the morning. You can find all kinds of things that don't involve looking at a screen. Do that. Avoid drinking more than 4 to 8 ounces after 8 p.m. just to kind of have an empty bladder when you're going to bed, and decreasing the risk that you're going to have to wake up through the evening because of that. No caffeine past 2 p.m. If you're really sensitive, noon is probably a better cutoff. Mine is usually I just need my morning coffee, and then after that I'm golden. But some people, they really do love their coffee, and in which case, noon, that's it. Or sorry, 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Noon if you're sensitive. Alcohol, try to restrict any alcohol within 3 hours of going to bed. Believe it or not, so if you or somebody know is that person who needs that glass of wine to settle down before they go to bed, that really is actually impeding how well their body does function while they're asleep. Maybe it, in a sense, helps them to get to sleep, but really it's not doing them any favors because they're not able to actually function properly once they are asleep. What I would try and recommend at that point then is trying to move them more towards a meditation, maybe a little bit of yoga, stretching before you get into the bed if you need to relax, but definitely try to keep the alcohol out of the picture 3 hours up to the time that you're going to go to bed. Speaking of what time to go to bed, clinically, the best time to actually have your head hit the pillow is 10 p.m. So some people are like, what? My day is just starting at 10 p.m.? Yeah, I know. But if you look at the science about how long it takes for our bodies to actually get into that deep reparative sleep and our circadian rhythm, the best time for healing is between 1 and 3 a.m. So if you're going to bed at midnight, your body doesn't have time to get into that healing mode properly, into that deep layer of sleep yet, because you haven't had enough time to get there. So trying to get into bed to get the full benefits of sleep by 10. But then that also means it's easier to wake up in the mornings as well. So there's that. Try to limit your aerobic exercise after 6 p.m. if you can, just because your body is coming down from all that adrenaline and the endorphins from the exercise, and it just makes it easier to transition into a restful sleep. Meditate if you can before bed. I like to spend at least 1 or 2 minutes just really, calming down, clearing my mind before my head hits the pillow. Read a book in that neutral light that you have in your room, just to kind of relax, and then a hot bath. And if you have that significant other, sex is a great way to unwind before you lay down at night. So that would be one more reason to possibly have that is the good sleep that usually follows. Okay. When you wake up, a big piece of how you go to sleep has to do with how you wake up in the morning. Trying to avoid those really loud, sudden alarms because it actually will shoot your cortisol up and you're already waking up in a stressful situation. So if you have something lighter, I have an alarm, yes, on my phone, but my phone is on airplane mode when I go to sleep, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's a chime. It's a chime and it escalates and escalates and escalates until it gets louder, and eventually it will wake me up quite easily, and I'm not like wired the second that I'm awake. So nice, smooth. Don't hit the snooze button. Don't do it. I know it feels wonderful to lay there, but don't close your eyes again and fall asleep. It's better to get up and start going and start moving. So set your alarm to the appropriate time to allow yourself to get up, don't hit the snooze, and get going. Spend a few minutes of your day in positive thought when you first wake up. Think of something positive like, the smell of coffee is so wonderful sitting there waiting for me downstairs, or green tea, whatever it is that is your fit first thing in the morning. Having some positive thoughts, journaling is a great way to start your day. Some people will have little positive affirmations up on their wall that they see first thing, just to get you into that positive feel first thing in the morning. Let the light hit you in the morning as much as possible. I have a dog, so I have to get her out. I have to walk her first thing in the morning. If not, she is very grumpy when I get home. So that's a great way for me to get out in the morning and get some sun, even in Canada where it is really cold, and sometimes I go to work in the dark and I come home in the dark. Getting out at some point on your lunch break, just getting 10-15 minutes of sun halfway through the day as well. And stretch. Get that blood flow starting to go. Again, you don't have to do all of these right out the gate, but these are all, again, little things that you can try to find what works for you and helps you wake up a little more easily. Okay, last little bunch. So decreasing your blue light. So yes, we're not having any screen time 1 hour before bed. However, you're probably going to be on a screen of some kind leading up to it at some point through the day. So limiting your blue light exposure. So there's actually a website you can go to and download an app in the background that will decrease the blue light in your either devices. If you have an iPhone, you can use the night shift settings, again, so that it's not this blaring, bright blue light that's coming through. If you have an Android, you can download an app called Twilight. It'll do the same kind of thing. Now, this one was hard for me because I love sleeping in. It's like one of my little guilty pleasures. But even on weekends, even on vacation, trying to have a consistent sleep-wake pattern. So if you wake up at 6 a.m. Monday to Friday, and then Saturday you're not getting up until noon, which I can't do because of the dog anymore, but I love my dog. That sleeping in actually kind of disrupts that circadian rhythm, and it's easier to stay on a regular one. Take an extra, half an hour, 45 minutes, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you don't want to be sleeping and extending yourself hours at a time. And again, get rid of the TV in the bedroom. Don't have a TV in your bedroom. It's tempting, I know, so don't do it. Out it goes. And again, turning off your cell phones. I turn mine on airplane mode, so it's not sending or receiving any Wi-Fi or EMFs that are coming through. So that way I can still use it as my alarm clock. It's there if I absolutely need it, but it's 5 feet away and it's going to wake me up with this lovely chime that just escalates with the sound. And then regular exercise. Again, going back to how it regulates our bodies, if you can get in the regular recommended amount of exercise a week, which is about 25 minutes a day, you're looking at it really helping your body recover, recoup, and be able to sleep more successfully. So again, I know that's a lot and it's all in the email, so you guys can kind of go down it, find what works for you, implement little things one at a time. If sleep is a big thing for you, then it really look at it, where you're sleeping, how you're sleeping, and what you're doing before you go to sleep. So, and on that, I wish you health and happiness, and we'll talk again soon.